Listen, Emma, let's bring you back in. So what Andy has been talking about is this idea that there's this almost dichotomy, there's this dynamic tension between national policy and, let's say, city policy. If we call local policy city policy, there's a reason why we have called this global urban resilience and major city management, because we realize that as an institution like the ISRM, we have almost zero capability to influence national policy. Right? And actually, that's not almost. We have zero. We have almost zero capability to access people who create national policy. But city policy, that's a lot easier. I mean, we have probably over 100 cities represented on our various forums right now. So to access city planners and city developers, they seem to be much more open to that dialogue. There's the 100 resilient cities, there's cities 2030, and so there's a whole load of stuff. Is there a learning going on, Emma, at the engineering level, at the project or the delivery level, between those cities? Is there a best practice coming into play that allows cities to understand that we are under pressure, that what we did in the 1980s and 70s, which is still many people's ideas of what city planning is. I mean, to be honest, tell me if I'm wrong, but it doesn't seem to have changed that much. Is there a learning going on for a new next generation understanding of what city planning and management means?
I think I can only really speak on behalf of the UK in terms of the wider understanding from ICE, but the UK is on this sort of program of devolution. So we have cities like Greater Manchester, and obviously Kathy can speak much more eloquently on what Greater Manchester is doing, have ensured that climate resilience becomes much more front and centre than even the national targets. And the previous UK government had made some statements around the UK targets, but I think ultimately it comes down to deliverability, and we don't have a clear. Not all cities are created equally or dealt with equally, certainly in the UK currently. So Greater Manchester and the West Midlands have a greater devolution deal. Others are earlier in their journey. But I think that there is that wider understanding going on. But ultimately, it comes down to how do we build that understanding, and the cities in the UK certainly are speaking together much more cohesively than they perhaps have done in the past, and presenting that to the UK government in terms of how they can deliver better and faster. It comes down to money, doesn't it? And it comes down to the fact that planning and engineering are very risk averse. So I think Andy pointed out that the powers that be want to see where it's been done before or how it's been successful somewhere else. Well, to be properly innovative, you've got to have people taking a risk, and that's difficult to achieve, I think. So I think there is that drive for cities to work better together. And clearly the 100 resilient cities, there are programs out there. I think, in lots of ways, we have lots of initiatives. And we just need to corral all that effort that's going on, and see where the synergy can arise from that. And I think the cities in the UK are starting to do that, but starting from a pretty much standing start where they've had to bid for funding for each item that they wanted to go for. almost in a beauty contest type thing, rather than being strategic about what can be done, and what's the best outcome across the board. So I think it's a patchy picture, to be succinct about it, and still relies a lot on people with passion driving it forward. How we achieve that where there aren't cities with that passion driving it forward, I think remains to be seen.
Thanks, Emma. Of course, I mean, you mentioned, just this term of office thing. What our ex-president Toby Harris called NIMTO, not in my term of office. If the political cycle is 3 to 5 years, then it's very hard to bring in a 25-year development program. And of course, it is absolutely collaborative. We talked about the UK. Mike White brought in the idea about, mentioned the UK planning. We're very bad at planning in the UK. We're not good at strategic policy. We just have to look at the Heathrow Airport expansion or HS2, the high-speed train, for example, plus a whole lot of other things. We don't have that strategic view.